To begin with, it is important to look at the overall framework of international maritime conventions. These conventions form the foundation of global shipping regulations and ensure that international maritime activities are conducted in a safe, secure, and environmentally responsible manner. The modern system of international maritime regulation was developed under the United Nations, which established the International Maritime Organization, or IMO, in 1948 as a specialized agency under the United Nations Economic and Social Council, or ECOSOC, alongside the International Labour Organization, or ILO. As of 31st of March 2026, there are a total of 69 international maritime conventions, with 68 developed under the IMO and 1 under the ILO. Together, these conventions provide the legal framework governing international shipping. Malaysia, as an active member state, has ratified 31 of these conventions, demonstrating its strong commitment to international maritime standards. The IMO Convention officially entered into force internationally on the 17th of March 1958, marking the beginning of its legal implementation among member states. Later, Malaysia became part of this framework through accession on the 17th of June 1971, and from the same date, the convention became legally binding for Malaysian shipping and maritime activities. For the IMO Convention to enter into force, it required ratification by at least 21 states, and at least 7 of those states needed to each have a merchant fleet of not less than 1,000 gross tons. Once these conditions were met, the convention officially entered into force. The SOLAS Convention entered into force internationally on the 25th of May 1980. Malaysia later joined through accession on the 19th of October 1983. And it entered into force for Malaysia on the 19th of January 1984. The entry into force condition under Article Text required at least 25 states, whose combined merchant fleets represented not less than 50% of the world's gross tonnage, and the convention would enter into force 12 months after these conditions were met. The SOLAS Protocol 1978 entered into force internationally on the 1st May 1981. Malaysia acceded on the 19th of October 1983, and it entered into force on the 19th of January 1984. Under Article 5, it entered into force 6 months after at least 15 states, representing at least 50% of global merchant tonnage, became parties to it. However, it could not enter into force before the main SOLAS Convention itself. The SOLAS Protocol 1988 entered into force internationally on the 3rd of February 2000. Malaysia acceded on the 11th of November 2011, and it entered into force on the 11th of February 2012. It entered into force 12 months after both required conditions were met. The Load Lines Convention 1966 entered into force internationally on the 21st of July 1968. Malaysia acceded on the 12th of January 1971, and it entered into force on the 12th of April 1971. The condition required at least 15 governments, including 7 with at least 1 million gross tonnage each, to accept or accede to the convention, and it entered into force 12 months after fulfillment. The Load Lines Protocol 1988 entered into force internationally on the 3rd of February 2000. Malaysia acceded on the 11th of November 2011, and it entered into force on the 11th of February 2012, following the same entry into force conditions stated under Article 5. The Tonnage Convention 1969 entered into force internationally on the 18th of July 1982. Malaysia acceded on the 24th of April 1984, and it entered into force on the 24th of July 1984. It required ratification by at least 25 governments, representing at least 65% of global merchant tonnage, with entry into force occurring 24 months after conditions were met. The CALREG Convention entered into force internationally on the 15th of July 1977. Malaysia acceded on the 23rd of July 1980, and it entered into force on 23rd of December 1980. It entered into force 12 months after at least 15 states, representing at least 65% of the world fleet, became parties, whichever occurred first. The STCW Convention 1978 entered into force internationally on the 28th of April 1984. Malaysia acceded on the 30th of January 1992, and it entered into force on the 30th of April 1992. It required at least 25 states, representing at least 50% of global merchant tonnage, and entered into force 12 of months after fulfillment of conditions. MARPOL 7378 Annex 1 and 2 entered into force internationally on the 2nd of October 1983. Malaysia acceded on the 31st of January 1997, and it entered into force on the 1st May 1997. MARPOL Annex 3 entered into force internationally on the 1st of July 1992. Malaysia acceded on the 27th of September 2010, and it entered into force on the 27th of December 2010. MARPOL Annex 4 entered into force internationally on the 27th of September 2003. Malaysia acceded on the 27th of September 2010, and it entered into force on the 27th of December 2010. MARPOL Annex 5 entered into force internationally on the 31st of December 1988. Malaysia acceded on the 31st of January 1997, and it entered into force on the 1st May 1997. The MARPOL Protocol of 1997, which introduced Annex 6 on air pollution prevention, entered into force internationally on the 19th of May 2005. Malaysia acceded on the 27th of September 2010, and it entered into force on the 27th of December 2010. For MARPOL 1973, the convention enters into force 12 of months after at least 15 states representing at least 50% of world merchant tonnage become parties. For MARPOL 1978, it enters into force 12 months after at least 15 states representing 50% of global tonnage become parties. For MARPOL 1997, it enters into force 12 months after at least 15 states representing at least 50% of world merchant shipping tonnage become parties. The CLC Protocol 1992 entered into force internationally on the 30th of May 1996. Malaysia acceded on the 9th of June 2004, and it entered into force on the 9th of June 2005. It entered into force 12 months after at least 10 states, including 4 states each with at least 1 million tanker tonnage, ratified it. The LLMC Protocol 1996 entered into force internationally on the 13th of May 2004. Malaysia acceded on the 12th of November 2008, and it entered into force on the 10th of February 2009. It entered into force 90 days after at least 10 states expressed consent to be bound. The Bunkers Convention 2001 entered into force internationally on the 21st November 2008. Malaysia acceded on the 12th of November 2008, and it entered into force on the 12th of February 2009. It entered into force 1 year after at least 18 states, including 5 with at least 1 million gross tonnage each, ratified it. The Anti-Fouling Convention 2001 entered into force internationally on the 17th of September 2008. Malaysia acceded on the 27th of September 2010, and it entered into force on the 27th of December 2010. It required at least 25 states representing at least 25% of world merchant tonnage, and entered into force 12 months after conditions were met. The Ballast Water Convention 2004 entered into force internationally on the 8th of September 2017. Malaysia acceded on the 27th of September 2010, and it entered into force internationally on the same date. It entered into force 12 of months after at least 30 states, representing at least 35% of world tonnage, became parties. Finally, the Maritime Labor Convention 2006 entered into force internationally on 20th of August 2013. Malaysia acceded on the same date, and it entered into force immediately for Malaysia. It enters into force 12 months after at least 30 members, representing at least 33% of global gross tonnage, ratify it. In Malaysia, the enforcement of international maritime conventions is carried out through several authorities and legal frameworks. The Malaysia Marine Department plays a key role through flag state control, ensuring that Malaysian-registered ships comply with international standards. In addition, Port State Control allows inspections of foreign vessels in Malaysian ports to ensure they also meet the required regulations. To further strengthen compliance, the Marine Department issues Malaysia Shipping Notices, or MSN, such as MSN 36/2010, which reminds ship owners of the importance of fully complying with international conventions. Malaysian vessels detained in foreign ports due to serious non-compliance may face serious consequences, including the cancellation of their certificate of registry. surveyors who fail to detect such deficiencies may also be disqualified from conducting future inspections. These measures help protect the reputation of Malaysia's ship registry. At the national level, international maritime conventions are implemented through legislation such as the Merchant Shipping Ordinance 1952. This law governs ship registration, crew management, and navigation safety, and incorporates key conventions such as SOLAS, MARPOL, and COLREG. Failure to comply may result in fines of up to Rm 25,000 per ship. In addition, the Malaysian Maritime Enforcement Agency, also known as the Malaysian Coast Guard, is responsible for enforcing maritime laws at sea. Established under the Maritime Enforcement Agency Act 2004, the MMEA enforces various laws including the Merchant Shipping Ordinance, the Fisheries Act 1985, and the Exclusive Economic Zone Act 1984. Its enforcement jurisdiction covers Malaysian maritime zones, including internal waters, territorial waters, the contiguous zone, the continental shelf, the Exclusive Economic Zone, or EEZ, as well as certain activities on the high seas. Overall, these enforcement mechanisms ensure that Malaysia maintains full compliance with international maritime standards, supporting a safe, secure, and well-regulated maritime environment.
Thank you for watching. See you in the next video. Bye.